So good to see you all on this morning. Greetings again to you. Whenever we come to the time of celebrating a special anniversary, it's always a time of looking backward and looking forward. It's always a time of giving thanks for those who've gone before us. These last 5 decades, those who had the vision for the foundation, those who have served in the church and in the foundation and have loved their church with their prayers, with being present in the worship life of the church and in the activities of the church, with their gifts, their generous giving, with their serving in every way, and with their witness to the love of God in this world and the grace of Jesus Christ. We look back and we give thanks for all those. We give thanks for those who have been careful stewards of the resources of the church and of the foundation, those who had the vision, and those then who through all of these years have contributed and been stewards of those resources, so that what began 50 years ago with a $2,500 gift now has assets under management of over $55 million. And through all these years, the foundation has supported the ministries of the church in various ways, in building projects, most often in supporting renovations and facilities-related issues through the years, to free up other money for us to use in direct missions and service. $48 million for the ministries of the church through these 50 years. What a great legacy those who have gone before have given us, those who have contributed very large gifts and small gifts, all wanting to see their giving continue beyond themselves. So we look in the past and we celebrate that and we give thanks. But we also look toward the future. We, as far as we know, of all creatures, have the ability to hold within our minds past and future together and bring those into the present to decide what we will do and who we will be and what commitments we will make that will affect the future that is to come. And so we look forward to the future as well. We hold up once again that gift of vision, the ability to see beyond what is, the ability to see what is not yet seen, that which does not yet exist, in order to bring it into existence. 11 years ago, not too long, just a little over a year before the 40th anniversary celebration, I came as senior pastor of the church and immediately began to hold meetings with church leaders and with others in the congregation to discern what is the vision of this church. I mean, who are we? Who is God calling us to be in this community, in this place? And what will shape the decisions we make and who we will be in the years to come? It wasn't my vision. I mean, I was part of the conversation, but it was the vision of the church. And I put that into a form that I purposely stated in the present tense as descriptive of who we are. And I did that so that if we hear those descriptions of who we are, we read those descriptions of who we are, and there are parts of it when we go, oh, wow, I'm not quite sure that really describes us, then we know those are the places where we need to get to work, where we need to focus our efforts, our giving, our attention, our service, and all that we do. So the vision for the church is stated as who we are, and when there is a little bit of dissonance with that statement and who we perceive ourselves to be, then we know that's where we need to work. And so we described ourselves in this way. We are a center, a spiritual and moral center for our city. We're exemplary in our stewardship. We are cutting edge in our ministries and programs. We are known for excellent biblical studies and an education and discipleship program. We are a diverse and inclusive congregation. We are inclusive of people of all ages and getting younger. We are known for our small groups and the various ways in which we gather people together to support, love, and encourage one another as they grow and learn and serve. And we are a community that has fun together, that has a lightheartedness, that enjoys being together. That's how we describe ourselves. That's our vision for who we want to be. And so as we look toward the future today, I invite you to think about that vision. Where are the points in that vision where you went, I'm not so sure. Maybe that's a place we need to work. Where are those points where you can celebrate the ground that we have gained in these years, in this last decade of the foundation's history and of our history as a church? Because it helps us to look to the future as we stand here. But the only place in reality where we live is in the present. And it's in the present where our work is done. It's in the present where our decisions are made. It's in the present where we make our commitments that will affect the future. It's in the present where we decide how we will spend our lives. Have you noticed that when we speak of our lives and our livelihood, we use the language of money. We use the language of treasure, of that which is valuable. We talk about, without even thinking about it, we use that metaphor to spend. We spend our lives. And all of us will spend our lives. We each have a life, a valuable life that we will over time spend. And the question is, how will we spend our lives? How will we spend our livelihood? Those are decisions and commitments that we make in the present. And we use language when we talk about that. We talk about giving our lives. We talk about not wanting to waste our lives. We talk about investing our lives and our livelihood. And it's that word investing that I particularly want us to think about this morning in the light of Jesus' teaching here in the Sermon on the Mount. Because he's talking about investing life and livelihood. He says, do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust consume and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for your treasures in heaven where neither moth nor rust consumes and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. And then he changes the image a little bit and he says, the eye is the window to the body. And if the eye is full of light, then the body will be full of light. And if the eye is full of darkness, then the body will be full of darkness. And then he goes on to talk about how unified we are in our thinking, or whether we're divided in our thinking about our relationship to stuff, to material things. He says no one can serve two masters. He'll either hate the one, love the other, be devoted to one, despise the other. You cannot serve God and wealth, Jesus said. And I think that's a statement that speaks to the eye as well. How do we see things? What is our perspective on what is important? So I invite us very quickly to think through in the present what we do with our lives, how we invest our lives, how can we make sound investments with an eye to the future, with our lives and with our livelihood. I think there are some tests that we can bring to it, and we see these tests in Jesus' teaching. These tests that will tell us, is this a sound investment with an eye to the future, or isn't it? The first one is the durability test. Does it last? Even a 3-year-old understands the importance of that which lasts and the difference between that which is fleeting and that which really endures. A father's on his way out the door to the store, and his little 3-year-old daughter says, Daddy, I want you to bring me something. What do you want me to bring you? He asks. Bring me something that will last forever. Already by the age of 3, she knows what it's like to get that toy she wants, and then the newness wears off of it. Already she knows that the candy is gone in a few minutes. She wants something that will last forever. It's durability she's after. And when we think about durability, the durability test, what we're after is something that will outlast ourselves. Something that is not like the treasures we would lay up on earth, to use Jesus' words, where moth and rust consumes or someone can break in and steal them. No, these are things that outlast us. These are the legacies that we leave. And those things that endure are not things at all, really. They're relationships, they're acts of kindness. They are the commitments that we make. They are the gifts that we give that continue to give and to bless the lives of people into the future over and over and over again. And it's important we think about that on this Sunday as we think about our foundation and how it was created in order to enable people to give a gift that keeps on giving and endures long after they have passed from this world. Does it endure? That's the first test. There is a well-known and often quoted epitaph from a tombstone that said, what I spent, I lost. What I saved, I left. What I gave, I have. Do you hear those words? It speaks to this durability test. Do we invest our lives and our livelihood in that which endures with an eye to the future? There's also the heart test, the cardiac test we might call it. Jesus said, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Now notice he didn't say where your heart is, there will your treasure be. That's often the case. If we care about something, we put our treasure there. But that's not what he said. What he said is, where your treasure is, there will your heart be. Your heart will follow your treasure. And if you think about it, you know that it's true. What you invest in, you care about. You care about. All through the years, I've seen it over and over again. The most generous people in our congregation, or any congregation that I've served, are the people who care deeply about the church. But the more they invest in the church, in their money, with their time, with their service, then the more their heart follows, the more they love the church. The more we invest in the lives of other people, the more we love other people. Susan and I invested for the first time in a local nonprofit last year. And as we have given several times since then, I've noticed something. We're more and more interested in that nonprofit. We're more and more passionate. We have more and more heart for what they do. Why? Well, because where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. And it has to do not just with money, but with any way that we invest our lives and our livelihood. And so, one of the tests is, am I investing my life and my livelihood in places and in ways that I want my heart to go? Is that where I want my heart to be? What an important test that is. The third one is the eye test. The eye test. Jesus talked about the eye as the window to the body. Is our eye full of light? Is it full of hope? Is it full of grace? Does our eye have vision to see the future, to see beyond what is to a future that can be? It's the eye test. Does our eye have a clear view of priorities? Do we know who our master is? You can't serve two masters, Jesus said. So for us, is it God? Is it something else? Is money our servant, or are we serving it? Because someone has said money makes a lousy master, but a terrific servant. And when we have an eye that sees clearly that relationship, then we can bless the lives of others. Then we can bless people beyond ourselves. Then we can invest our lives and our livelihood in a way that has an eye to the future and blesses many people to come. We stand in the present between the past and the future, and we remember those who've gone before us, who had vision, who had that kind of eye for the future, and not just the vision, but they made it happen. I was attending a national meeting. It was a United Methodist meeting. It was the Council on Finance and Administration, the General Council on Finance and Administration. This was a number of years ago, and I was surprised when one of the speakers to the group began to tell the story of our church, lifting up our church as an example of what it means to step out on faith and to do something bold and to invest with an eye to the future. The story they told was a story that is well known to many of you, and that is that after the stock market began to spiral down on that Thursday called Black Thursday, the church already had plans to break ground on Tuesday, October 29th. The stock market was on its way down, but the church continued with those plans, broke ground on October 29th, 1929, the day the stock market crashed, Black Tuesday. Now, the smart thing, it seems, would have been to, let's just hold off on that building program. But the leadership of this church did not do that. They invested themselves and their livelihood with an eye to the future and a vision that they made happen. And we sit and worship today in this sanctuary that is a result of that faith commitment and the willingness to step out on faith and move forward. So the question for us, we have this great debt to the past. How can we put the future in debt to us? 50 years from now, when the foundation is celebrating its 100th anniversary, what will those folks say about you and me in this generation? How did we invest ourselves and our lives, our livelihood, in this present time in a way that would endure, in a way that would take our hearts to the very places we would want our hearts to go, with an eye to the future? What will they say about us? I want to close with a story. It's a story told by Herb Miller. 60 years ago, a man in eastern Tennessee, well up in years, got up every morning and he got a sack and he filled it with acorns and he began to walk around on a burned out section of land that had once been a forest. And as he walked every morning, he would take a sharp stick, he would drill a hole in the ground, he would drop an acorn in there, he would kick the dirt over it, and he would do that for several hours every morning. People watching him slowly make his way around dropping those acorns would often ask him the same question: why do you do this? Why do you do this? Because you're not going to be around to see these trees. And he said, I do this because as I walk, I don't just see burned out land, I see a beautiful forest. And I won't be around to see the trees that sprout from these acorns. But I know that someday there will be people who will enjoy this forest that I plant today. A sound investment with an eye to the future. That's our calling in this time, in this place. Amen.